King Harris is silent. Completely, devastatingly silent. 3 weeks ago, this man was everywhere. Videos dropping, merch selling, music releasing. He was loud, aggressive, and seemingly fearless. Now, nothing. Gone. Vanished from the timeline like he never existed. And 50 Cent? He hasn't said a single word. He doesn't need to. Because reportedly, a documentary is coming. A documentary that allegedly contains information so nuclear, so scorched earth, that according to sources close to the situation, King Harris himself is desperately trying to find a way out. Too late. This isn't just about rap beef anymore. T.I., Tiny Harris, King Harris, and 50 Cent. 4 names. One situation that is reportedly on the verge of becoming the most devastating industry implosion of 2026. Here's what nobody is saying out loud. King Harris didn't just lose a rap battle. According to multiple commentators tracking this story, he allegedly walked his entire family into a trap they cannot escape. And the one detail that changes everything about this story, we'll get to that. But first, you need to understand what actually happened. The stakes here are not small. We are reportedly talking about a multi-million-dollar media production, allegations that were previously buried, and a 21-year-old kid who thought he was defending his family but may have accidentally handed 50 Cent the ammunition he needed to go nuclear. King Harris was brave. King Harris was loyal. But according to sources, King Harris may have made the single biggest mistake of his young career. To understand why this silence is so devastating, we need to go back. Because this story didn't start in 2026. It started long before King Harris ever picked up a microphone. It started in 2003. Nobody was paying attention to the rivalry back then, not the way they are now. That year, 50 Cent released Get Rich or Die Trying, an album that didn't just chart, it dominated. It announced 50 Cent as a force that New York hadn't seen in years. Simultaneously, out of Atlanta, T.I. dropped Trap Music, a project that essentially invented a sonic blueprint that the entire South would follow for the next 2 decades. 2 artists, 2 coasts, 2 completely different definitions of power. For years, the tension between them was invisible to most fans. There were no diss tracks. No direct confrontations. Just 2 major artists operating in the same industry space, occasionally being compared by journalists and fans who couldn't help but notice the parallel trajectories. Both had built empires. Both had survived things that would have ended lesser careers. And both, in their own ways, had cultivated reputations that demanded respect. But beneath that surface, according to longtime industry observers, the comparison never sat comfortably. Particularly for T.I., who built his legacy from the ground up in Atlanta during the same era that 50 Cent was being crowned the king of hip-hop by mainstream media. The quiet rivalry had roots. Then came 2020. The world was locked down. The Versus Battle series was giving artists a new platform. And T.I. began publicly pushing for a Versus matchup with 50 Cent, calling him out across interviews and social media, making the case that the fans deserved to see it. 50 Cent said no. But it wasn't just the refusal that stung. It was how he said it. That was the seed. And seeds grow. But that was just the beginning. Because what happened in February 2026 lit the fuse on everything. February 2026. T.I. appears on Shannon Sharpe's Nightcap podcast and goes on record criticizing 50 Cent directly, bringing up the Versus situation, discussing what he felt was a disrespectful dismissal, and making it clear that years of tension had not dissolved. The internet noticed immediately. 50 Cent's response was not musical. It was calculated. He went to social media and shared an older, unflattering image of Tiny Harris, T's wife. No long caption. No explanation. Just the image. Posted for millions of followers to see. Trigger, the image went up. Reaction, the Harris family saw it. Consequence, the internet never forgot. King Harris, 21 years old, T.I. and Tiny son, did not wait. Did not consult. Did not pause. He went directly at 50 Cent with a speed and intensity that shocked even longtime fans of the family. Videos began dropping. Then music. Then merchandise. All of it aimed squarely at 50 Cent. The comment sections exploded. Clips went viral within hours. King was loud. King was unhinged in his delivery. King, according to commentators tracking the situation, appeared completely unafraid of the consequences. In one widely circulated video, King addressed 50 Cent's post about his mother directly, delivering lines that left no room for misinterpretation. His older brother Dominique also responded publicly, but observers noted the difference in tone immediately. Dominique was measured. King was on fire. According to reports, King also released a track titled Drop Top that included pointed references to 50 Cent's past, his career, his credibility, his choices. Each release kept the story alive. Each post added more fuel. The problem? 50 Cent wasn't reacting emotionally. He was watching, taking notes. And according to sources familiar with his media strategy, he was reportedly building something far bigger than a social media response. Meanwhile, King kept posting, kept releasing, kept the story active. And with every move he made, he was allegedly adding material to a growing archive that 50 Cent's team was reportedly documenting carefully. This was still just round one. What came next made all of this look like a warm-up. There is a line in hip-hop, an unspoken rule that even the most aggressive, most relentless competitors have historically respected. You do not bring deceased parents into the conversation. King Harris crossed that line. In the heat of the back and forth, King's responses allegedly included references to Sabrina Jackson, 50 Cent's late mother, who was tragically murdered when 50 Cent was just 8 years old. Sabrina Jackson was a young woman who died violently, leaving behind a child who would grow up to become one of the most influential figures in hip-hop history. Her death shaped 50 Cent in ways that he has spoken about publicly for decades. It is not a footnote. It is the foundation of who he is. This crossed a line that even hip-hop considers sacred. The public reaction was immediate and severe. Even fans who had been supporting King Harris throughout the beef began pulling back. Comment sections that had previously been divided suddenly shifted. One widely shared reaction from a prominent commentator summed up the sentiment: "You can battle. You can rap. You can drop merch. But the moment you bring up a dead mother, you've lost the moral argument, permanently." T.I., in interviews, acknowledged his son's involvement with complicated language. He expressed that he didn't prefer seeing them pulled into public conflict, but also made clear he understood their loyalty. "Nah, my kids ride," he reportedly stated, a message that resonated with some audiences but alarmed others who felt it normalized a dangerous escalation. 50 Cent said nothing about the deceased parent reference publicly. He didn't need to. The court of public opinion had already delivered its verdict. King Harris had started this chapter as a son defending his mother's honor. He ended it as the person who had allegedly disrespected someone else's. The optics were devastating. The silence from 50 Cent that followed was not weakness. According to industry observers, it was patience. Nobody said anything, because there was nothing to say. This is where the story shifts from celebrity gossip into something that feels considerably more serious. According to online discussions that began circulating in early March 2026, 50 Cent is reportedly developing a documentary project tentatively titled Surviving T.I. and Tiny. The title alone, deliberately echoing the format of high-profile investigative documentary series, was enough to generate significant attention across platforms including X, Reddit, and YouTube commentary channels. No official confirmation has been made by 50 Cent's production company, G-Unit Film and Television. However, 50 Cent allegedly posted and subsequently deleted a reference to the project online, which sources tracked and archived before the deletion. That deleted post, according to outlets including DJ Academics and various commentary channels, referenced the documentary directly and hinted at what it might contain. What would such a project reportedly focus on? According to commentators analyzing the situation, the documentary allegedly intends to revisit allegations that first gained widespread attention around 2021, when multiple individuals came forward with claims involving T.I. and Tiny Harris. Those claims were covered extensively by outlets including The Shade Room, Tasha K, and the Jasmine brand, generating significant media attention at the time. It is critically important to note, the legal cases connected to those 2021 allegations were subsequently dismissed, primarily for procedural reasons including statute of limitations. There have been no criminal convictions. T.I. and Tiny Harris have consistently and firmly denied all allegations, stating publicly that any interactions were entirely consensual. However, according to media analysts, documentary projects do not require criminal convictions to be impactful. They organize publicly reported information into a structured narrative. And 50 Cent, with his extensive background in television production, including the massively successful Power franchise, understands better than almost anyone how to shape a story for maximum impact. The question being asked across platforms is not whether the allegations are true. The question is, what happens to public perception when they are packaged into a premium production and placed in front of millions of viewers? For T.I., the implications of a documentary, even one built entirely on already public information, could affect the brand infrastructure he has spent years constructing beyond music. Business ventures, public-facing projects, industry relationships, all of these exist within an ecosystem where public perception matters enormously. For Tiny Harris, who has built her own independent visibility through television, social media, and entertainment projects, renewed attention on previously reported allegations represents a different kind of exposure, one that is harder to respond to than a diss track. But for King Harris, the consequences carry a specific weight that analysts have been discussing openly. King is 21. He is at the beginning of what he reportedly wants to be a serious career in entertainment. His visibility is currently tied, almost entirely, to the family name, which was both his advantage and, according to industry observers, is now potentially his vulnerability. According to commentators, the irony of King's situation is this: he entered this conflict attempting to protect his family's image. His energy, his music, his videos, all of it was framed as defense. But every piece of content he released kept the story alive, kept new audiences discovering it, kept the conflict trending. And now, according to sources, those same videos, those same lyrics, are reportedly being discussed as context within the broader narrative that 50 Cent's alleged documentary would present. What King meant as armor may have functioned as ammunition. The industry calculus is unforgiving. 50 Cent has decades of experience, a major production infrastructure, and a proven ability to win long-form media battles. King Harris has Instagram, a SoundCloud, and a last name that is currently under scrutiny. 3 weeks ago, King Harris was posting daily. Today, the timeline is quiet. No videos. No music drops. No responses. No captions. Just silence. The kind of silence that, in the context of everything that has allegedly been building behind the scenes, speaks louder than anything he previously said publicly. Commentators across platforms have noted the shift. On X, discussions about King's sudden disappearance from the conversation have generated thousands of interactions. On Reddit's hip-hop forums, users have been cataloging the timeline of his posts and cross-referencing them with the documentary rumors, drawing conclusions that have yet to be officially confirmed by anyone close to the Harris family. T.I., notably, has not gone quiet. He has continued to address the situation publicly, projecting confidence and willingness to engage across formats. Observers interpret this as the posture of someone with decades of experience managing public scrutiny, someone who has been here before and knows how to present composure even when the circumstances are difficult. King's silence, by contrast, reads differently to those watching. It reads like someone who has been advised, perhaps by family, perhaps by legal counsel, perhaps by people who understand the entertainment industry's power dynamics, to stop adding fuel to a fire that is no longer small. And 50 Cent? He remains composed. Strategic. Occasionally posting brief, cryptic captions that keep audiences watching without giving anything definitive away. The documentary has not been confirmed. The allegations have not been adjudicated. The story is not over. But the question that everyone watching this situation is sitting with is the same one that nobody has been able to answer. What exactly is on that documentary? And what did King Harris see that made him go completely, devastatingly silent?